other numbers that I've been calling was 5238, and that's 5238. Man. Alright, CSXT 5238. Keep on coming just the way you got them. Still clear for 50 cars. 50 over. I understand. Still clear for 50. 50 out. So this is a perfect example of the importance of a conductor on the train when you're making a shoving or a reverse movement. The engineer is operating and controlling the locomotive from the head. The conductor is riding the rear, protecting the point. And when you're shoving back, look, there's another employee that has less than 1 year of service. He has an orange vest on. So for example, I would say, all right, CSXT 5238, still looking good just the way you got them. Keep them coming, still clear for 50 cars, 50. There used to be a rule with CSX where when you're shoving back, when you give in the car count, so for example, if you say clear for 50 cars, 50, you have to give an update before half of the movement that you just stated. So if you said 50 cars, you had to give an update well before 25 cars, because if the engineer doesn't hear anything from you in 25 cars, he is supposed to be stopped. So, for example, if I say, all right, keep them coming just the way you got them, CSXT 5238, still clear for a good 40 cars, 40, no switches involved. So when you're on the rear protecting the leading end of the movement or protecting the shove, you're being the eyes for the engineer on the head. So literally, the engineer is just sitting there operating the controls, and he may be facing the opposite direction, facing forward. But if while he's facing forward, he's operating the train based on your commands. And if say like I just said, clear for 40 cars, and say like I move 10 cars, 12 cars, 13 cars, normally the engineer will press the button and say, what you got? He said, what you got? So that'll kind of remind that you need to give me a new update. Says, all right, you still looking good. 5238. Keep on coming just the way you got them. Clear for a good 25 cars. 25, no switches involved. And you see how I keep saying no switches involved? Because you're painting the picture, letting him know you are looking out for switches, looking out for derails and such. Giving it some throttle. Hear how the RPMs increase? I'm gonna go try to go to the other side, get a good shot of the exhaust. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's an auto rack train. Man, CSX must have did some mass hiring. Almost every conductor I'm seeing has an orange vest on. Man. The conductor in the cab of that train had an orange vest on. So I can tell that the train is picking up speed. So one thing I'm going to talk about is when you get on a train on a outbound swap, So let's say this train started at another location, it originated somewhere, or it started at point A, went to point B, switched crews, went to point C, and you're getting on it at point C, gonna take it to point D, wherever that may be. When you first get on the train, you cannot knock off the brakes and give it throttle and blast off. You have to have authority for movement. So authority for movement would not be signal indication in the example that I'm giving, because you're not able to move from a stop, an outbound crew on signal indication. Your authority for movement would have to be verbal authority from the dispatcher. So that's why you would have to call the dispatcher up. I'll give you a good example. Boop. Boop. That's the tone back, so you know that your buzz went through to the dispatcher. He'll say, CSX AE dispatcher answering over. Yes, sir, this is the outbound Q 206-13. Like to get permission where we stand. Signal indication, south end of Baldwin. All right, understand Q206-13. Outbound crew have permission to proceed from where you stand. Signal indication, south end of Baldwin. Over, and you can repeat it. He can give you his times and initials. So that's your authority for movement from you getting on the train, getting on it, and blasting off. Your authority for movement on the main line is now verbal authority from the dispatcher. And then once you knock the signal down, meaning once you take the signal, then that's your authority for movement. We can say we're running on signal indication. Our authority for movement is signal indication. So we're gonna run on signals. We can run on signals, clear signals all the way to Tampa, or we can have to stop numerous times. We can have to do work at numerous places, pickups, set-offs. But also, when you get your authority to move, which we call the dispatcher, you gave us permission to proceed from where we stand. When you're proceeding to, look, that auto rack door open right there. That's not supposed to be like that. It's loaded cars too. Man, I find something every time. So you would, the crew would say, hey, you got a auto rack door that's open about midway in your train over, you know, you report it, give it to the crew when you're inspecting the train from the ground. So when you get permission to proceed from where you stand, you have to move at restricted speed, and restricted speed is half the range of vision, not exceeding 15 miles per hour. So for example, I'm gonna give you a great instance where a manager could test and get a failure on a crew. So say like the train get on, the outbound crew get on, get permission to proceed from where they stand. Okay, once they do that, they say, hey, you know, we can go 15. And they blast off, get the train rolling. See how this train rolling? It's rolling pretty good. See how, oh look, this DP, a DP unit. Wow, check that out. And the engine sound like it was idling, it's not underpowered. So they're just creeping along. So when you blast off on verbal authority from the dispatcher, you have to proceed at restricted speed. And once you knock down that signal, then you can proceed maximum authorized speed for your train. But a manager could put a stick man up, which is it's a simulation. He's testing to make sure that his crews or her crews are following the rules correctly, or making sure that they're on their A game. So you could blast off thinking that, hey, you know, at the range of vision not exceeding 15 miles per hour, we got the train rolling along going 15, and right there at the signal, there's a stick man sitting up right there at the signal bridge. If you hit it, you're fired. You're done, because you were violating a serious rule, because when you're operating under restricted speed, you're supposed to be moving at a speed that will permit you to stop at half the range of vision. Not 15 miles per hour, but it may not exceed 15 miles per hour. So if you're on straight level track, you can see clear ahead of you for well over a mile or two, yeah, we can go ahead and bump it up. But in the rule, it does state, I believe you're supposed to be looking out for improperly lined switches, obstructions, broken rails, numerous things. It's not worth it. It's no rush, because you can get on a train and try to maximize and run hard and do all this crap, and then once you get to the other end of your line, you sit and wait 4 or 5 hours to get into the yard. So the best thing to do is enjoy your awesome career, make an attempt every day to be the best that you could be, master your craft, and go home safely to your family in one piece. And the end of the train almost coming up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I touched on verbal authority, signal indication, getting on a outbound train on the main line, blasting off, taking off. And but with railroading, there are so many examples. It could go on and on and on. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop me a comment below. I will respond. I appreciate all the support. I hope you enjoy it. And alright, outbound train. Train looks good with the mark. Y'all have a safe trip on in. Catch not fish.